Good morning. Thanks, Quinn, for the introduction. Excited to be here. Today, I'm going to talk about my journey from going from pig genetics to now working with pets and kind of go over a little bit of all the amazing things that genetics can do for various industries. So a little bit about my background, just to kind of set the stage of my educational background. You can see in the picture that I am a graduate of Greenwood High School, so I hope we have some representatives here from Greenwood. Yes, thank you. Oh, up there. And I went to Western Kentucky. I have a BA in mathematics, and I also studied ag and biology as minors. Then I went to Iowa State and got my master's and PhD. And for my PhD, I majored in animal breeding and genetics and statistics, so I co-majored. And then after I finished my PhD and started my job in industry, I realized I really want to understand a little bit more about how businesses work. So I got my MBA at the University of Nebraska. So I go through my educational background just to kind of help you understand that when you get a PhD in something, it doesn't necessarily define what you're going to be doing for the rest of your career. So I studied swine genetics while I was getting my PhD, and I started at a company called DNA Genetics. While I was there, actually, on my first day that I started, they told me, okay, by the way, we are connected to this parent company and we're going to become independent. So we hired you so that you can build our entire genetic program from scratch. It was an amazing experience. It is like the dream job that I thought I would get after getting my PhD in swine genetics, and I was able to build this entire program and decide how are we going to select pigs for the next generation, what traits are we going to measure, and I really enjoyed it and I loved it. And then, after I was there for a few years, I actually started working more with DNA Genetics' sister company, Pill & Family Farms, which is a commercial swine company. And so they have over 100,000 sows, meaning that they produce over 1 million pigs a year. One company, 1 million pigs a year to make all of the pork chops and bacon that you all eat. And I started working on our technology side, and I managed our entire tech team, everything from dealing with, hey, I forgot my password, I can't get into my computer, to managing all of our network engineering and getting all of the Wi-Fi and everything set up within the office, to making 2 different websites in-house that collected up. We set it up to where, the farms could enter data and get reports. And so I managed a team of software developers and product managers. And then I was like, this has been great. I've learned so much, but I really was looking for something different and the next step in my career. And I applied for a job at Ancestry DNA, and I got it, and it was great because it really took both of my previous experiences that were heavily based in science and then in technology, and I was able to really bridge the gap at Ancestry between the science team and our product team and help understand all that cool innovation that's happening at the science side. What does that mean for product? What does it mean for the customers? Why do people care? Because there's a lot of times that cool stuff happens on science side, but if you can't explain it and help somebody understand why it matters to them, then it really doesn't get out there and it doesn't, get into the hands of customers so people can be able to use it. So I really spent a lot of time trying to help bridge that gap. Then, a year and a half ago, we launched Know Your Pet DNAs, which is a dog DNA test. So this is kind of getting into the title of my talk, from pigs to pets. And so being pretty much the only person at Ancestry that had any experience in animals, I was by default asked to work on this project. And now I lead the project, manage all of the day-to-day operations for it, everything from marketing to software engineering to product. And I really spend a lot of my time on business development, which is just a fancy way to say sales, and have really focused on our business-to-business sales. So using other retailers, other companies to buy our product. And recently, in the time that I submitted my slides for this presentation and today, I also have a new role at Ancestry where I manage all of our commercial partnerships for the entire business. So thinking back to my background where I have a PhD in swine genetics to doing something that is very, very business oriented, I'm now on the marketing team, there's really not a defined path for everybody. So you can study something that you're interested in, but don't let it limit you on what you can do in your future and where your career is going to go. So now I'm going to change gears a little bit and talk about all of the cool stuff that you can do in genetics. So starting with pigs, when I used to work as a swine geneticist and I would travel and somebody would sit beside me on a plane or whatever and they say, oh, what do you do? And I would say I was a swine geneticist, and they said, oh, that's nice. And then I started realizing nobody really understands what a swine geneticist does, so I started saying, I make better bacon. And then people got really interested in what I did. So what starts with, for a genetics company, it's really all about filling this pyramid with genetic progress and pigs that are more efficient, more economical to produce, which keeps a low-cost food source for consumers. So at the very top of that pyramid, you see the nucleus. That is where all the genetic improvement happens. That is where I spent the first part of my career and making sure that we're getting pigs that grow faster. They eat less food. They are easier to manage. They're more docile. And then we transfer that genetic progress down to the daughter nucleus, the multiplier, and then the commercial level. So there's 3 levels where we expand the herd and expand the number of pigs until we get to the commercial level where it's actually producing the pigs that you get from your pork chop and your bacon and your barbecue. And then goes down through the distribution channels from packers that harvest the live animals, processors that create value-added products, until we get down to your retailers that are like your Walmart, Kroger, where the consumer actually purchases the product. So genetics in pigs is all about feeding the world with a low-cost food source. And I think that's a pretty admirable goal. But shifting gears, what do we do at Ancestry? So on the human side, we're all about helping people share their family story and uncover all of those learnings in their family story. We do that in 3 primary ways. So we've got what we call regions, which helps you understand where your ancestors were from. That could be a few generations ago, or it could be 1,000 years ago. And so we've got over 2,600 regions that we identify that can be as big as a country down to a very specific town in Ireland. And then we also have DNA matches, which are genetic matches. So people that share a common ancestor at some point back in their lineage. A lot of our customers will get tens of thousands of genetic matches. And it's an amazing thing when you hear people talk about all of the stories that they uncover as they start putting all of those family pieces together and trying to understand how they connect to each one of those matches. And then we also have over 40 traits that can be things from physical traits like eye color, hair color, to more fun and interesting personality traits about morning or night person, or do you like to dance? I think is one of the most recent traits that we released. So it really helps you understand, why you are the way you are. Moving to dongs, we offer a very similar product that we do on the human side. So instead of ancestor regions, we offer a breed breakdown. So, that dog that people pick up from the local animal shelter and don't really know what breed it is, we can help them piece that apart and help them develop a care plan for understanding how to take care of that dog, because it has certain breeds in it that need certain things. Maybe they need a lot of activity or a certain kind of diet. And then we also have treats and matches within our product as well. I think the interesting thing for traits is that you can also understand why your dog is the way it is. For example, with separation anxiety, a lot of dogs get really anxious when their human family leaves the house. So understanding that a dog is predisposed to that can really help people take care of that animal, maybe offer supplements or different training to address that condition. And then we also offer over 200 screenings for potential health risks, which help people understand conditions to be mindful of, watch for symptoms of, even take preventative measures to prevent that condition from happening in their dog. And we really think that we've given pet owners a way to better connect with their dog and way to better help care for their dog. So I've had a lot of experience in various different industries with genetics. Hopefully this gives you a little bit of insight of all of the cool things that you can do with genetics.